Hello everyone, good day. In this video, we want to look at Azure Service Bus. Azure Service Bus. So let me share my screen before I start explaining. Yeah, I believe you can see my screen now. So as I said earlier on, in this video, we want to look at Azure Service Bus, which helps us to work with queues. So to start with it, so we are just going to be navigating around it in this video in the Azure portal. We'll just be seeing how we can have a quick walk through around it. Then in the next video, we are now going to be using an application to interact with it. So I want to search for service bus, or you can just type it directly from here. I think it's even better I do it from here. So you can do it this way, or you do it from here. Service bus, and you can see it over here. So in one of our previous videos, we started our work on queues. We worked on queues and we worked with queues from the storage account. So there's a queue service which is part of the storage account. The same way we have table service, we have container service and things around that. So we worked on the queue service from the storage account. However, working with queues from that platform, from that service is quite limited. So the service bus is a more elaborate service that allows us to interact with queues. So the first thing we need to do is to create a namespace. Our queues will be part of a namespace. So after opening service bus, you try to create a namespace. Yeah, so what I'm gonna do is, let me just pick one of the previous resource groups that I have. I'll give it a name. I can call it frankly for 100. Yeah, pricing tier, I'm going for basic. Yeah, so I think I'm good with this. This is fine, this is fine, this is fine, and this is fine. Okay, so while this is still validating, okay, it's done. So let me quit it. So queues, as the name implies, just think of when you want to get something from a restaurant and there's a queue, you come in, you queue, and when they have served you, you step out, first in, first out. It's the same scenario that we're going to be doing here. So first in, first out. So this video, as I said earlier on, is just how to navigate around it, and in our next video, we'll really see how applications can orchestrate certain tasks based on queues. So it's done, it's done. We can go to resource now. So our namespace has been created. So this is our service bus namespace. So it's now within our namespace that we can then create our queues. Then when we create our queues, we can also create items within that queue. So to create a queue, you can just come over here and click the plus symbol here, or you can also come to entities and click on queues. So I'm clicking to create a new queue now. So let's give it a name. Let's call it let me call it I don't know. Let me just call it frankly your 100. Maximum queue size 1 gig is fine. We're gonna delete it right now and we'll have some simple data maximum delivery count. I'll basically just leave the default. So let me change this to 30 minutes because I'm gonna even delete it before that time. And we can create our queue now. So we are creating our queue in our namespace. So that's the architecture. And queue is just something like a container that allows you to be able to add some kind of items into it, and based on those messages, based on the messages that we are adding to the queue, we can enqueue and we can dequeue, or we could even pick into a queue. Yeah, so that's basically it. So now I want to see the queues I've added. Come over to entities, click on queue to see the listing of the queue that we have, and you can see this is the queue. You can see the status, it's active. So we can open it, but we now want to add items into it. So to add an item into our queue, what we need to do, from here you can see the various overview, the statistics around our queues. Can see all of that. So we want to add an item to our queue. What we can do is we can go over to, how do I do that? We can go to the Service Bus Explorer, from the left navigation, Service Bus Explorer. While we are inside that queue, so you can see this is the name of the queue. This is the name of the queue. This is the name of the container. 400 was what I used for the container. 100 was for the queue. So we go to Service Bus Explorer. Then we can click to send messages. So we want to send messages to the queue. So the message can be anything. So the message can be what will trigger some kind of operation to happen. So let me send first message. You can choose either you want to use plain text and XML, XML syntax, or JSON. So for plain text, let's do let me write first message. So first message, we send this. So this has been sent successfully. You can see that over here queue changes to 1. So once you send down that message, still using text / plain, let's call this second message, and we send again. Yeah, so our queue now has 2 items. Let's just do one more. Send message again, and let's say this is third message. We have a third message that we are adding. Yeah, so we now have 3 messages as part of our queue: first, second, third. So if we should come over to, if you click on pick from start, so there are 3 major operations when it comes to queues. So there are more than 3, but I think we'll be interacting a lot with 3. So there is, you can pick into a queue. Pick is just like you are trying to look into it. You want to know the kind of information that is in it. You want to note the messages that are in the queue rather than removing messages from it or adding messages to it. So we want to pick from the start. We want to see all the 3 messages that are in there. So you can see the 3 messages now. I picked from start. You can see the 3 messages. So now, if I change the pick mode, if I change to receive mode, if I change to receive mode, um, we can definitely receive the messages. So if I should click on receive the messages, so before I even do this, let's go to pick. Let me select one of the messages first, and let's just see what we can do with it. So let's say I select this. You can see we have the message body, and we can go over here and see several properties around the message as well. So what I will do now is let me change the mode so that we can receive the messages. So if I should click on receive mode, take note that we have 3 messages in the queue at the moment. So now let me click on receive messages. And by doing this, we can select, we can choose how we want to go about receiving the messages. Number of messages to receive, 1 is fine. Maximum time to wait for a message in milliseconds, 10,000 milliseconds is fine as well. So now I'm clicking on receive now. Take note of the number of messages we have here. We have 3 at the moment. Take note of that. So I'm clicking on receive now. Yeah. So I've clicked on receive now. So now what we are going to do is let's go to peak mode. Okay. So now let's pick from start. And we have this message. So let's wait for 10,000 milliseconds. So what I will do is let me reduce the milliseconds. Let me reduce that so that we would see the effects quite quickly. So let me change this to instead of 10,000, let me make it 100 milliseconds. Number of messages to receive, 1. Okay, let's receive and delete. Now, take note of it right now. I'm receiving now. Okay. So now you can see that the number of messages that we have over here is just 1 now. So if I should go to our peak mode and I pick from start, you can see that we only have 2 messages. So the second message have been deleted, and that's because we've received it. So if I should do this one more time, let me go to receive again, receive messages, number of messages to receive. Okay, let me leave this as 1. Pick and delete again, 100. So let's receive again. And it changes now to just 1. It changes now to just 1. So we have just a single message here right now. We have just the 3rd message here. So you know that the first time we ran this, it worked on the first message, because when it comes to queue, we are looking at first in, first out. So it worked on the first message. The second time it worked on the second message. The 3rd time now we have this final message. So let's see what we can do to this again. Peak mode one more time. Oh, sorry. Receive mode. Let's see if we can receive any more messages. Yeah. So because the first time we saw how we could we used a different type of operation So that might have affected what our peak mode will be. So basically, I believe we get the point when it comes to our service bus. We are adding queues, and in our queues, we are adding messages into our queues. And for us to add our messages to our queues is based on we need to first create a namespace, which we already did. And our Service Bus Explorer is the feature that allows us to work with our queues. Okay, so in the next video, we'll be seeing a real application on how we can programmatically interact with the Service Bus service. Have a nice day. If you find this video informative, don't hesitate to like, share, and subscribe.